There was the MEK, who are trained in Albania. 3,000 men are under training by America in Albania for this assault on Iran, which they hoped would collapse the regime. As always, whether it's Russia, whether it's China, the Western narrative, these states are a house of cards, one little puff, and the whole house will collapse. And that's what they were expecting at this time. I just want to say a word about the nature of it, because one surprise in this was the extreme violence of this small group of rioters. So they would go to a place where a crowd was collecting, a crowded place. They would be told to go there. They would be instructed by the NGOs and others who were controlling the operation. They would go there, and then they would pick on someone, a bystander, not someone involved or anything else, and they'd start beating them. And they beat them really severely. And around them, and part of this team, were women who would film it all. And their role was to shout, "Go on, kill him, burn him, burn him." And of course, this attracted more crowds as people were watching this poor man being beaten and attacked and said, "Kill him, he's dangerous, he's a whatever he said he was." And then, of course, the security forces would come, and somewhere in the background, a shot would be fired at the security forces. So the security force then shoot back at whom they assume to be the instigators, but they hit ordinary people, and then they have a riot. The point of this was to show that the establishment was losing control. And the whole thing changed overnight, and it became quite different. And the whole strategic calculus shifts, because not only did Iran cut off the mobile international telephone system and the internet, which they'd done previously, but they cut off Starlink. And, the Americans and Israelis are shocked because they've said, this has never happened. It can't be done. You can't shut down Starlink. Well, it's been shut down. It has been a complete loss of interoperability, and they cannot use it. And the West has put in something like 40,000 Starlink connections, and now the users of those are being arrested and are being taken away, and it's collapsed. So the surprise is on the Iranian side this time, not on the Israeli side, as it was on the 12th of June. The surprise has shifted 180 degrees and taken the Americans, because without that Starlink, they can't manage, they can't run the riot against the establishment. What I hear from Iran was that it's actually a Chinese technology, but the big EW towers that you've seen, these huge things, which are from, being used in the Ukraine context, came from Russia. So the big EW electronic warfare towers and equipment, I think, came from Russia. But maybe but who knows? It doesn't really matter. It worked. And it changes so much, because this has been the key regime change tool of the West. They relied on it, and they thought it was impossible for it to be broken and stopped. And that's what's happened. And the cutting off of the Starlink really shifts the whole calculus.